Today I'm going to be showing you how to crochet this really fun Mini Grannies Granny Square. Now this square is part of the Festival Pick and Mix Cal, but you do not have to be making that blanket to be able to crochet this square. You can use these fun granny squares for literally any project that you so wish. To begin, we're going to make a magic ring and then chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now that counts as a double crochet and a chain 2. Now into your ring we're going to work 3 double crochet stitches. 1, 2, 3. Chain 2 and work 3 more double crochets back into that magic ring. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 2 and work 3 double crochet back into that magic ring. 1, 2, 3. Chain 2 and then work just 2 double crochets back into the magic ring. Remember this chain 5 at the beginning, the first 3 chains of that count as a double crochet. So we've already got 1 there, we need just 2 more to finish. So 2 double crochet into the magic ring. 1 and 2. Then to end this first round, find the 3rd chain of that initial chain 5. 1, 2, 3, and into that 3rd chain we're going to work a slip stitch. Then chain 1, cut your yarn, leaving a nice long length for weaving in. Pull that up, out, and tight. Then you can go ahead and close up the magic ring at the back. Now grab a large eye needle and we're going to weave in these 2 ends. So let's start with the one that we just cut. And I'm just going to run it through these 2 chains to begin. So I'm just weaving in and out. And then I'm going to come underneath the stitches and just run it back and forth through the 2 chains. And again, back and forth. And then pop it out through a chain. Then the tail from your magic ring. And I'm going to run it underneath the base of all these stitches, but not have my needle come through the front. You can trim off the tail from the magic ring, but leave the one that is woven through the chain, because when we do the next round on these mini grannies, we'll crochet over that one. So now you need to make 3 more of these little central mini grannies. You need 1 more in the same color and then 2 in your contrasting color. So just repeat that section 3 more times. So I have 4 little squares here, 2 in one colour and 2 in my second colour. Now we're going to be using the opposite colours. So on these white ones, I'm going to use yellow for the next round, and on the yellow ones, I'm going to use white for the next round. Now for your first mini granny square, get the opposite colour to the colour you have used. So for me, that's white. Pop a slip knot onto your hook. And we're going to create a standing stitch into any of these chain 2 spaces. So it doesn't matter which one, just any of them. And into that chain 2 space, we're going to make a standing double crochet. So yarn over your hook, put your finger on both those loops so they don't spin off. Pop your hook into that chain 2 space and draw up a loop. You'll have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops, and then yarn over and pull through the final 2. That is your standing double crochet made. Now work 2 more double crochet stitches into that chain 2 space. 1 and 2. Chain 2, 1, 2, and work 3 more double crochet stitches back into that same chain 2 space. 1, 2, and 3. Then into the next chain 2 space, if you have your little yarn tail, hold it flat and crochet over that as well. And into this next chain 2 space, work 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, chain 2, 1, 2, and work 3 more double crochets back into that chain 2 space. So we're going to repeat this last little section 2 more times into these last 2 chain 2 spaces. 3 double crochet, chain 2, and 3 more double crochets worked back into that chain 2 space. One last time into the final chain 2 space, 3 double crochet, chain 2, and 3 double crochet back into that same chain 2 space. Then to finish, we're going to slip stitch to the top of that standing double crochet that you made. So pop your hook under that stitch, yarn over and draw your yarn in front of the slip knot, so that slip knot will be at the back. Chain 1, cut your yarn, leaving a nice long length for weaving in, pull it up and pull it tight. Now we're just going to get this one out of the way for a minute, so I will fully weave it in at the end, but for now I'm just going to weave it under the next 2 stitches, so back to front, under the next one, and then through one of the chains just in the corner here. So this tail from your standing stitch and this tail that we've just loosely woven in a couple of stitches will need to be fully woven in at the end. For square number 2, grab the opposite colour that we just worked on. For me, that was a yellow. So now I'm going to grab a white. I'm going to work this next round in yellow, but we are also going to join as we go to this first square. So just as we did on square number 1, we're going to pop a slip knot onto our hooks, and create a standing double crochet stitch into any of these chain 2 spaces. So yarn over, put your finger on those 2 loops so they don't spin off your hook, go into the chain 2 space, draw up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and you've created a standing double crochet stitch. Now work 2 more double crochets back into this chain 2 space, chain 2, and work 3 more double crochets back into that chain 2 space. So we have one fully completed corner. Now we're going to start joining along this side. So into the next chain 2 space, we're only going to work half a corner. So 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, then chain 1. Now we're going to attach to square number 1 here. So we have 3 double crochets and a chain on our hooks. We're going to insert our hook into any of these chain 2 spaces on square number 1. Catch the yarn, bring it through the chain 2 space of square number 1 and through the loop on your hook. So we've essentially made another chain. So that's our second chain. Now we're going to do a tight join as you go along the next 6 stitches and chain 2 space. So work 1 double crochet back into square number 2, so the square we're currently working on. Then lift your hook up and out, leaving a loop. Pinch that so it doesn't come undone. And we're going to pop our hooks underneath the double crochet from square number 1. Put that loop back on your hook, pull it down tight and pull it through the stitch. Then work a double crochet back into the square that we're currently working on. Lift the loop up, take your hook out and put it under the next double crochet of the square we're joining to. Put it back on your hook, tighten that down and pull it through this white stitch. So pull it through the square we're joining to. Then work 1 more double crochet back into that chain 2 space of the square we're currently working on. So you can see we're joining as we go, but we're doing a tight join, which gives this really pretty corded effect. Now lift your hook up, take it out and put it under the next double crochet of the square we're joining to. Put it back onto your hook and draw it through the stitch. So we have joined 3 stitches. Now we're going to work into the next chain 2 space of the square we're currently crocheting. So work 1 double crochet into the next chain 2 space. Lift the loop up, take your hook out and insert it under the next stitch of the square we're joining to. Put it back onto your hook, tighten it up, pull it through the stitch of the square we're joining to, and then into the chain 2 space of the square we're working on, work a double crochet. Lift the loop up, take your hook out, place it under the next stitch of the square that we're joining to, put the loop back on your hook, pull it tight and pull it through that stitch. Work 1 more double crochet back into the chain 2 space that we're currently working in. Lift the loop up, take your hook out and place it under the last double crochet of the square that we're joining to. Put it back on your hook, pull it tight, pull it through the stitch, and then chain 1. So we have joined all 6 stitches on the side to each other. Chain 1. Now lift the loop up, take your hook out and put it through the chain 2 space of the square we're joining to. Put the loop back on your hook, tighten it up, pull it through the chain 2 space, and then chain 1. Working into the square that we're currently making, into this chain 2 space, the same one where you've already worked your first 3 double crochets, we need to finish this corner with 3 double crochets. We're done joining to that first square, so just 3 double crochets as normal. So you can see we joined to the chain 2 space, joined all 6 double crochets together, and then joined again into the chain 2 space. Now into the last chain 2 space on this second square, we're going to work a corner, no joining, there's nothing to join to. So 3 double crochet, chain 2, and 3 double crochet back into that same chain 2 space. And then join with a slip stitch to the standing double crochet at the start of the round. Remember to bring that yarn in front of the slip knot. Chain 1, cut a long length for weaving in, pull it up, pull it out, pull it tight. And just as we did on the first square, I'm just going to run it under a couple of stitches so it is out of the way for now, and both those yellow ends will need weaving in at the end. 2 squares joined. Now we're going to create square number 3 and we're going to join it to square number 1. So we're going to create another white and yellow square. So with your next mini square, we're going to again do one with a yellow round. So just as before, we're going to start with a standing double crochet into a chain 2 space. Any of them, doesn't matter. And work your standing double crochet. So yarn over first, go into the chain 2 space, draw up a loop. You have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2, and you've created a standing double crochet stitch. Work 2 more double crochets into that same chain 2 space. Chain 2 and work 3 more double crochets back into that same chain 2 space. Now, just as we did with the second square, we're going to work half a corner and then start joining. So into your next chain 2 space, work 3 double crochets, and then chain 1. Now we're making square number 3 and we're going to join it to square number 1. Now it really doesn't matter which side, top or bottom of this first square. We can join it here or we can join it here, whichever is easiest for you. I think for me, for the direction I'm working in, I'm going to work into this side of it, but as I say, it really doesn't matter. We'll create the same shape regardless of which side we attach this to. So we're going to pick up and we're joining to square number 1. And just as before, insert your hook into the chain 2 space of square number 1. Yarn over and draw up a loop. Then draw it through the loop on your hook. So we've essentially created our second chain. Now, just as we did before, we're going to do a tight join as you go along all the next 6 stitches. So double crochet into square number 3. Loop up and off your hook and insert your hook underneath the stitch on square number 1. Put the loop back on your hook, pull it tight and pull it through the stitch of square 1 and work a double crochet back into square number 3, the one we're currently working on. So we're still working into the same chain 2 space on square number 3. Lift your yarn up, take your hook out, place it underneath the second stitch of square number 1. Tighten that loop back on your hook and pull it through the stitch of square number 1 and work your final double crochet back into this same chain 2 space that we've been working in. That completes this corner on square number 3. Loop up, hook out, under the next stitch, loop back on your hook, pull it tight and pull it through the stitch. Now we're going to be working into the chain 2 space, the very next one. Work 1 double crochet, hook up, create a loop, take your hook out, pop it under the next stitch on square number 1, loop back on your hook, pull it tight, pull it through the stitch. Work a double crochet back into the square we're currently working on, square number 3. Pull a loop up, take your hook out, put it underneath the next stitch of square number 1, loop back on your hook, pull it tight and pull it through that stitch. Work a double crochet, this is our 3rd double crochet, back into this chain 2 space, loop up, hook out, under the final stitch of square number 1, pull that loop tight back on your hook and pull it through the stitch. So now we've joined all 6 stitches, we're going to chain 1 and we're going to join to square number 2. So the same colour square that you're working on now, the last one, we're going to join diagonally. So pull a loop up, take your hook out and insert your hook into the chain 2 space of square number 2 in a diagonal right across. Loop back on your hook, pull it tight, pull it through and then chain 1. That's square number 3 all finished with the joining. So now we're just going to go ahead and finish this square. So 3 double crochets back into the same chain 2 space we've just been working in. In the next chain 2 space, 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. Then slip stitch to join to your initial standing double crochet that you made. Chain 1, cut your yarn, pull your hook up, out and tight. And we have attached square number 3 to square number 1. So you should now have an L shape. Regardless of which way round it looks, it doesn't matter. You could have it looking this way or you can have it looking this way. As long as you have an L shape and you've attached square number 3 to square number 1, that is what's important. Now your last square, we're going to fill in your L shape. So we're going to do the same colorway as square number 1. For me, that is white. So just as before, we're going to make a standing double crochet. And the difference is, if I spin this around, for this 4th and final square, we're going to be joining on 2 sides. So pick up your square and create a standing double crochet into any of the chain 2 spaces. And then work 2 more double crochets. 1, 2, chain 2, and work 3 double crochets to complete this corner. Into the next chain 2 space, work 3 double crochets. We're only doing half a corner. And then chain 1. So we need to fill in this L shape here. So we're going to be joining to these 2 yellow squares. So we're going to join up this side and along the other side to fill it in. So because of that, this here is the chain 2 space I'm initially going to start from. If you're a bit confused, just put your square down, lay it out how mine is, and you'll see the corner space we're joining to. So we're going to pick up, and just as we have been doing, insert your hook from front to back into the chain 2 space, draw up a loop and draw it through your hook to create that second chain of our corner. Now yarn over, go into the chain 2 space we're working into, create your double crochet, and we're going to do the tight join as you go, just as we have on these other sides. So pull up a loop, put your hook underneath the corresponding stitch of the square you're joining to, pull it down nice and tight, draw it through the stitch, and then create another double crochet into this chain 2 space. Loop, hook out, under the stitch, pull the loop back onto your hook and pull it through the stitch we're joining to, and create one more double crochet into that same chain 2 space. Pull a loop up, hook under the stitch we're joining to, loop back on your hook, pull it tight and pull it through. That's this first corner made, first 3 stitches joined, 3 more to go. So into the next chain 2 space, work 1 double crochet, loop up, hook out, under the stitch we're joining to, loop back on your hook and pull it through. Double crochet back into your chain 2 space, pull up a loop, under the stitch we're joining to, loop back on your hook and pull it through the stitch. Then 1 more double crochet, lift that loop up and go under the last double crochet of the square we're joining to, put the loop back on your hook and pull it through that stitch. So that is one side completely joined. Now chain 1, lift up the loop. Now we're going to do what we did with these 2 yellow squares, squares 1 and 3, by reaching into each other to join diagonally. We're going to do the same with squares 1 and 4, which is the one we're currently working on. So we're going to find square number 1. It will be the same colour as the square you're currently working on. Put your hook under the chain 2 space of this first square. So we're working diagonally. Put the loop back on your hook, draw it tight, pull it through the chain 2 space of square number 1, and then chain 1. If it's easier to fold one of these squares out of the way, that's absolutely fine. We're just going to work a chain. And then back into the chain 2 corner space that we're working on, we're now going to join this remaining square's side. So work a double crochet, back into that same chain 2 space, pull up a loop, take out your hook. Now we're joining to this other square to complete. So hook under the first stitch on this last square we're joining to, loop back on your hook, pull it through the stitch, and then work a double crochet back into the chain 2 space, loop up, hook out, and then under the next stitch of the square we're joining to, so on this last side, pull it through and work 1 more double crochet back into this chain 2 space. Pull up a loop, take your hook out, underneath the next stitch of the square we're joining to, put that loop back on your hook, pull it down tight and pull it through. That's the first 3 stitches joined. 3 more to go. So into the next chain 2 space, work 1 double crochet, pull up a loop, go under the next stitch of the square we're joining to, loop back on your hook and pull tight and pull it through the stitch. Work another double crochet into the chain 2 space of the square we're working on, so square number 4, lift up a loop, take your hook out, pop it underneath the next stitch of the square we're joining to, put the loop back on your hook, pull it tight and pull it through the stitch. 1 more stitch to go, so double crochet back into this chain 2 space of the square we're crocheting, square number 4, lift up a loop, pop your hook underneath the stitch, the last double crochet of the square we're joining to, loop back on your hook, pull it through the stitch and then chain 1. Lift your loop up, pop your hook into the chain 2 space of that square we're joining to, loop back on your hook, draw it through the chain 2 space and chain 1. You have now joined all of these squares together. Now to finish square number 4, we have half a corner here where we've been joining, so we need 3 more double crochets into that same chain 2 space to complete square number 4. And then slip stitch to join to that very first double crochet that we made. Chain 1, cut your yarn, pull it up, out and tight. And now is the time to weave in all these ends at the back. You'll have 2 ends for each square. The end that you cut when you finish the work and the end from your standing double crochet stitch. Here's how you should be looking once everything is joined and all your ends are woven in at the back. So now is the time to decide for this 3rd round what colour you want as your main colour. Do you want white or do you want yellow? For instance, on my rather bright coral pink and white ones here, you can see this was the stage we had reached. And I decided to continue with this darker pink colour. The same on my black and white one. I continued with black. So it's completely up to you. You could choose white or yellow at this stage. I'm going to choose yellow. And for round number 3, so we've done 1, 2 and a whole load of joining. For round number 3, we're going to be crocheting a granny round all the way around these 4 little minis. So just as we did before, pop a slip knot onto your hook, pick any chain 2 space, really doesn't matter, any of these corner spaces. Work a standing double crochet, followed by 2 more double crochets. Then chain 2 and work 3 more double crochets back into that same chain 2 space. So that's our first corner made. Now you will have a little side section to work into in between your sets of 3 double crochets from the row below. There's a little gap, and in here we're going to work a side. So we're going to work 3 double crochets just on their own, just straight into that little gap, 3 double crochet stitches. And now we're at the spot where we have 2 chain 2 spaces and where we joined our squares. Now we're going to do something a little special over these joins to ensure that our grannies stay completely flat and don't ruffle. So into this first chain 2 space that you come to, work 1 double crochet. Then we're going to work a double crochet 2 together over these 2 joined chain 2 spaces. So yarn over and go into that same chain 2 space where you just worked a double crochet and draw up a loop. You will have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops and then stop. So you have half a double crochet stitch hanging from your hook. Now into the next chain 2 space, yarn over, go into the chain 2 space and draw up a loop. You'll now have 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops and then stop. So you've got 2 half finished double crochet stitches hanging from your hook, and now we're going to draw those 2 together. So yarn over and pull through the remaining 3 loops on your hook. So we've created a stitch which straddles both chain 2 spots. And then work 1 more double crochet into that same chain 2 space where we just ended the double crochet 2 together. So it looks a bit like you have 4 stitches, but we have in fact only got 1, 2, 3. So that is how we deal with these joined chain 2 sections along the side. Then there is another side section here, so into the next gap just work 3 double crochets. And then you will be at a chain 2 corner space, and into the chain 2 corner space we're going to form a new corner, so 3 double crochet, chain 2 and 3 double crochet, all into the same chain 2 spot. So we're going to tackle these next 3 sides the same way. 3 double crochet into the next gap in between the sets of 3 double crochets from the row below. So just 3 double crochet. Then in the next chain 2 space which is joined, work 1 double crochet. And then into that same chain space where we have just worked a double crochet, we're going to do a double crochet 2 together. So yarn over, go into that same chain space, draw up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops and then stop. Now we're going to finish this double crochet 2 together in the next chain 2 space. So yarn over, go into that space and draw up a loop. You'll have 4 loops on your hook this time. Yarn over, pull through the first 2, stop. You'll have 2 half finished double crochets hanging from your hook and 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and draw through all 3 loops to bring them together, and then work 1 more double crochet into that chain 2 space. So we have straddled the join, then into the next gap work 3 double crochet, and then into the chain 2 corner space form a new corner with 3 double crochet, chain 2 and 3 double crochet. So repeat this last little section along the 2 remaining sides and stop when you have finished your last 3 double crochet of the side section and you're back to where we started. Once you have gone all the way around, and we have just finished these last 3 double crochets on the side, we're going to join with a slip stitch to your initial starting standing double crochet stitch. Now we have one more round to go, and this one is vastly more simple. So for the final round, we're going to chain 1, which does not count as a stitch, and work a single crochet into that same place. Then work a single crochet into the top of the next 2 stitches. So we have 3 single crochet. Then into the chain 2 space, we're going to work 2 single crochet, 1, 2, chain 2, 1, 2, and 2 more single crochets back into that same chain 2 space, 1, 2. Then you're going to work a single crochet into the top of each of these stitches that we just made in that last granny round. There will be 15 stitches to work into. If you find your single crochets are covering up that first stitch, just scooch them around a little bit and work 1 single crochet into the top of all 15 stitches from the round below. Then into your chain 2 corner spaces, we're going to work 2 single crochet, chain 2, and 2 single crochet. So repeat this around the next 2 sides. In the corner chain 2 spaces, work 2 single crochet, chain 2, 2 single crochet, and on the next 2 sides we work 1 single crochet into the top of all the stitches from the row below, which will give you 15 single crochets on the sides. So I've just completed my final corner. I've worked around 3 sides. Now we're at the very last side, which is where we started. Now we already have 3 single crochets worked into the side. So instead of working 15 single crochets for this very last side, we're only going to work 12. Then to finish, we're going to find the first single crochet that you made. So the slip stitch does not count. That little small chain 1 does not count. We're looking for the top of the stitch here. And under that single crochet, we're going to make a slip stitch to join. Then chain 1, cut your yarn, leaving a nice long end to weave in, pull it up, out, tight. You have these 2 yellow ends to go ahead and weave in. But your Mini Grannies Granny Square is complete. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. It was quite a long one because we did have this fiddly tight join as you go, but I hope you'll agree that the effect of this sort of twisted cable rope effect of the join is really worth that additional effort. So please do let me know what you think about this square down in the comments section below. And until next time, happy crocheting. Bye.